What's going on? Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday. Coffee with Creators, 11 o'clock Eastern. This is Adorama itself, not a green screen. This is 42 West 18th Street. If you're around, come hang out. Dan Norton will be live this week with Hard Light Demo, shooting live, not talk, shooting. Come hang out for that. But I got Fritz Bacon with me today, a great filmmaker, content creator, works with a lot of commercial campaigns. We're going to jump into all that kind of stuff. Every time I forget about that one.
Yeah.
And let's just kick this off really quick with saying thank you to the sponsor, Panasonic Lumix. You guys know Panasonic. It's like a legendary, it's like, you hear this? If you guys hear stuff, it's the AC. It's super hot in here, and there's actual camera cleanings going on today, which, by the way, if you're in the city, come by. Camera cleaning station going on right now with the actual tech. But anyway, Panasonic Lumix. You use a lot of Panasonic Lumix. You do a lot of our videos for the new releases. It's a brand that I feel like has been sewn into mainstream pop culture forever. I think everybody's owned something Panasonic, but the Lumix line, I think, is really maturing at this moment into a really interesting space. I mean,
yeah, I mean, look at their features of like B-Raw, right? I got you. One of my first serious cameras, for me at least in the film world, was the GH series. I believe it was like the GH4. And then the classic 18 to 35 Sigma combo. Yep. I feel like a lot of filmmakers and cinematographers started with that, and Panasonic knows this, Lumix knows this, and they've created so many tools that work with us in mind as creators. And so every time I get my hands on a new camera, the menus are just like super easy. They're always consistent. And every time I'm like, whoa, okay, we added this feature. Like that's really fun.
Updates, everything, the support they've got, the build quality, and shutter angle. Enough said, right? If you shoot video, they give you shutter angle. The SSD recording out from USB-C. The S5 II and the S5 IIX have been phenomenal. Check out the links down below for everything Panasonic. And one last thank you to Gotham Roasters for the coffee today. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Cheers. What'd you get?
Cold brew.
No, we didn't get cold brew. I think this is what do you say this was? Oh, these are iced Americanos today.
Americanos.
We got a little fancier today. I'm gonna lift my pinky.
Changing it up.
Just watered down espresso, but I think that the Americano came from soldiers being over in Europe or something, and they go, this coffee's too strong because it's all espresso over there. So that was like in World War II or whatever. I think I could be totally wrong. Some coffee nut is gonna drive me crazy in the shower.
You could just see all the coffee comments rolling in. Yeah, no, the Italy espresso. Oh my gosh, whenever I go there, I have like 6 of those. It's crazy a day.
You get to that plane in a coma after when you're trying to come home. Yeah, they coffee, like especially espresso, like some people consider that is coffee, and then you come to America and like my father's from Greece. Coffee was espresso. Yeah. And then when you got regular coffee, he called it brown coffee.
Interesting.
It was never black. It was always brown coffee because it wasn't actually espresso, you know?
And I love how coffee is one of those things where it's like every culture sees it differently, treats it differently. And so it's like, you can relive your first coffee experience if you go somewhere else, you know?
Oh, when I see French roast, I'm like, well, that's going to be burned. Okay. I can't do it.
That's not going to work for me.
I can't do it. But thank you, Gotham, for the hookup. And you guys can go check them out on 19th Street. Now, let's talk about this. So if you guys didn't know, it's Filmmaker Week, and this is one of our guys for filmmaking, Fritz Bacon. Fritz Bacon, first of all, every time I hear your name, I think of Francis Bacon, the painter.
Well, funny story, I'm related to him because my full name's Francis Bacon Gilbert IV. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You're related to the guy who puts paintings behind thick glass.
Way back when. So I gotta be honest, I gotta remember, it's either the philosopher, because there's a Francis Bacon who's a philosopher, or it's the painter. And I remember, so I'm Francis Bacon IV. It restarts after a while, and yeah, it's a whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I was just telling Fernando, I'm like, every time his name comes up, I keep thinking of Francis Bacon, and like he's like, yeah, me too. And now it's like, you're related. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Also, guys, if you're in the chat, you're welcome to ask questions. I do want to jump really right into what Filmmaker Week is about, which is where we're releasing videos every day for the week from filmmakers, some local, but mainly just that we're involved with Adorama. We get them outfitted with the gear that we want to see used in the field, and they make a project with that. You had a pretty dramatic experience trying to put something together here. I'm gonna share the screen, but you can talk about what happened here, because you were trying to do a project and it was just falling apart on you, which I think we've all been there, right?
Yeah. So for this, obviously it's one of those rare moments where someone comes to you and is like, hey, we'll give you a bunch of gear, a bunch of fun new toys to play with, and you can do whatever you want. And so usually there's constraint, and really the only constraint was getting it done on time. And so I wanted to go a little lofty with it and go sort of narrative, because I don't get to do a ton of narrative work. But as I was lining up actors and stuff, people had to, I was calling in favors, they were getting pulled into other things. And so I was like, all right, you know what? I had just done the firmware update on the S52X, and there was motorcycle tracking that was added. And I was like, all right, I know a lot of guys with motorcycles, and I know most guys with motorcycles love videos of them on motorcycles. So I was like, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to play around and get some car rollers. And it was going to be, I was trying to keep the narrative in place, sort of that feel to the final video. And a lot of this, I did encounter a lot of issues. This clip specifically is when my system just kind of went crazy. I was controlling everything with a PS4 controller.
Nice.
Because you can do that with the Ronin app. Allows a PS4 controller that you control, that you link to your phone. Anyways, there was too many things talking to each other. Yeah, there it is. So you can see the PS4 there. There was a lot going on. I had a wireless monitor system. Yeah, if you see, there's a lot. It's suctioned. The monitor is suction cupped to the car. So this was my first car build, first car rig.
Oh, good. You did it on a time sensitive deadline,
exactly.
with new gear you've never touched.
Exactly.
This is a creator, everybody.
And we made it work. So there was a lot of testing. There was a lot of days of just me sort of rolling around. I have my sister's car for the summer, and I was like, I gotta use this. All the pieces were coming into play, but as I was going through the narrative, I was like, all right, I gotta come up with a beginning here. And I was gonna have my buddy sort of just wear a helmet and be dramatic and like putting on gear. And then it was pouring rain, and he had something else that he got called away to, and I was like, all right, that's it. I'm just gonna make an intro with what I have available, and there happens to be a bike in my studio at the moment for a friend of mine, and I was like, I'll just shoot that and I'll light it with the Zion lights, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I just put the link to that video in the chat. You guys can check that out. It's like a 9-minute video where he really does walk you through step by step from the drama to the actual technical. I thought that I was so funny because when I clicked down, I was like, "Oh, we're gonna see one of these," and your whole beginning was just this drama of like, they flaked on me. It started raining. This didn't work. I'm like, is it what happened here?
That I was trying to convey everything was falling apart without being super negative, but everything was falling apart while I was trying to do that. So,
oh my god, I'm trying to get to your website.
Oh yes, so if you just my name, just fritzbacon.com.
But, sorry guys, it's been a weird morning. .com?
.com, yep. Secured this when I was maybe 13. Yep.
Smart. So I'm just going to give you guys a quick idea of like the commercial stuff that Fritz gets into. I mean, American Eagle, Levi's, Maserati, which must have been super fun. Just park a gorgeous car all over the place.
That actually, we can talk about that. That's one of the craziest shoots of my entire life.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
This looked like, oh, get a beautiful car in a beautiful spot, get it.
Oh, yes.
That's what it looked like.
So this was with, basically that's what it was, but this was, so there's a few complications. So if you look at the white car there, that's the MC20. At the time, it was a production model. There was maybe 3 in the world.
Sick.
They could not get wet. It was incredible how much this was stressed to us. The car could not get wet. Now, this was important to know.
The more expensive the car, the less weatherproof it is.
And we, at the agency, we had a producer who basically, they had shut down Times Square.
Which is, if you want to see the permits for that.
I couldn't even imagine. I've produced a lot of stuff. I would never touch Times Square. That's just beyond my abilities. And so they shut down Times Square. We had about 30 security all over the place, stanchions and everything. Now, I'm prepping to shoot it. I was just sort of our in-house photographer for shooting social. So I was really pumped. I was really young for this. I was really pumped. It was like my big opportunity, and I was super nervous. And then we saw that it was going to rain. And
what is with you?
we saw that it was going to rain. So we got the car out. I got my shots. I had maybe 30 minutes to get all the shots of the MC20 in Times Square. We started to feel it drizzle. The car also didn't have power on it, so we had to push it into back. And then the skies opened up onto the, I forget the 3 cars' names. It was a while ago, but it opened up, and honestly, it made the photo even better than I could have imagined. That's one of my favorite photos. It's one of the biggest prints I have in my, I don't print a lot of my work, but I printed that, and it lives in my apartment.
No, it's cool. And I think if you're going to be outside, all bets are off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just what it is. And that's why a lot of people, if you look at a lot of productions, they look at time of year and season and all that kind of stuff and geographical location. And a lot of things that you see filmed in the same cities are mainly because it's consistent. Like, look, unless you want to feel like I need it to be Seattle, then yeah, you're going to go get that rainy Seattle. But if you need just consistent days, I mean, look, Walking Dead, hot summers in Georgia, perfect.
Easy.
And let's just get it filmed. But yeah, all bets are off. What's nerve-wracking with what you got there are probably hand-built cars, 3 in the world. They don't really run.
Yeah.
Which,
hey, you got to do what you got to do. That's the advertising game for you.
well, it's the same thing with the new releases for cameras and stuff. They give you it. There's like nothing's finished on it. We once got a camera from somebody that didn't have a grip on it, period. Like there's no rubber on it at all. It was like a 3D printed thing glued onto it. And I was like, interesting. But that's how
and don't drop it. Of course.
Yeah. And we need it back in like 37 minutes. So let's go get this done. Like, but the firmware, okay, let's just, but that's what this is. You get stuff. It doesn't have to work. It just has to look right. Yeah. But in our videos, it does have to work because we're showing performance of it. That you're not driving it. You're not going next to it. You're not doing a car rig, doing some pan shots.
Yeah, no rollers on that one. But I was pumped with how it came out, you know, and it was early in my career, and I had a lot of fun with it.
Well, let's talk about the American Express stuff because this is like as commercial campaigny as it gets, I feel.
Yeah. So this was as my sort of work was transitioning, I used to only do stills photography, and then I started obviously doing short form. And so the agency had known me through my previous work with American Express, and they knew that I was doing reels. So then I just started doing some pretty simple, keeping my style of just like trying to be authentic, but on the phone, which was really cool to see from such a big brand like American Express, and just like simple everyday moments in New York City. You can see there is obviously one not so everyday moment of the Oculus activation there, but
well, I mean, the reality, the vibe of this is they want you to feel like you're traveling with this credit card, and you are traveling, and what are you going to use as your tool to document? It's going to be a phone. And it's really cool that they were like, keep it organic, don't over polish. But I mean, for a phone, this looks really polished.
Yeah, that is the thing. You put me behind the phone. I want my shots to look really nice.
Of course.
And luckily with the iPhone, we have a lot. And so this was really cool. It's a brand I use. It's the only credit card I have. So
not sponsored.
Yeah, no, just happens. I try to align myself with whoever I'm working with, right? I try to work with products I like.
You don't just grab a check. You don't just,
Hey,
Mike Cabral is actually asking, did they shut down Dumbo in Brooklyn as well for the Maserati shoot?
No, super early. It was like a Tuesday, and that was one of my coworkers, he would jump out, I would jump out, and I would sprint, and I'd be like, get the shot. That one shot in Dumbo there, if you hit it at the right time, can be empty. And it's public road, anyone can drive on there. I think it's maybe the 4th, if there's...
This one.
That one, yeah.
The famous street that's blocked by it's TikTok Road now. It
is. Oh man, that's so the now seeing this. That's winter, and also there's about a dozen cars that are hidden behind the framing of this. You could tell this is a very wide angle shot. If you know that street, there's double parking on each side, or there's parking on each side of the street. And so that's why I am very low, which framed the car really well. So it worked out. But yeah, no, nothing crazy there. Honestly, anyone could take this shot. I'm sure the shot gets taken a good amount. I always see like a Ferrari down there. So
it's quintessential.
It's
very iconic, but man, like find the street that no one's using anymore. Like when you go to that street in New York, it is like people lining to take their shot. And it's like, why do you need this?
It's crazy. I will say I go to that street a lot because a lot of people request it in my work. They're like, hey, can you do that one? So like we want it to feel like New York, and that street feels like New York. And you have to be very very careful you don't go on a weekend. You're done for.
Bro.
Any other time you can make it work. I've in some of the videos I've done, I think I've gone there, but yeah, it's a mess.
I mean, I'm watching people set up ring lights, and I'm like, you're in daylight. Like, what are you doing right now? Like, don't. It's so. This and the Vessel are turning into like these.
Yeah.
The spots that like people are like congregating to get social. And look, I say this almost every episode now. Like, I used to like really hate all this stuff, but I'm like, I'm glad people are having more of a mindset of what it takes to produce. So when we come into the play, they don't think, one, you're free. Two, it's easy, it's quick. Like they now get an idea of how much work goes into it if they want a certain level of this, you know?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, tourists love Washington Street. Yeah, and I get it because you want that shot. You've seen that shot. If you think about it, these shots are advertisements for our cities, right? The iconic same shot over and over again on people's pages are what they're basically coming here for because it was shown to them. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, there's so much more to this city that people don't ever show. These like spots that people just don't get or that are fleeting. Like there's times where murals only exist for like a little bit or whatever. Like, do you remember the gates in Central Park, the orange gates, all that stuff?
Yeah, way back when.
Yeah.
I think I have a part like the canvas thing that they. Anyways,
do you really?
I think I do. Yeah, somehow.
I think they were raising money for something. I forgot what it was, but yeah, like there's moments of New York City and stuff like that, and I guess that makes the content kind of not evergreen and people don't like that maybe.
Yeah, it's interesting because like obviously New York's such a vast space and there's always so much going on here. So like people who live in New York, you kind of hear things and you can know where the cool stuff is, but as a tourist, as you're coming to New York, you've got maybe a couple hours of research in, and these are the top spots that come up because everyone else just put a couple hours of research. So it makes sense why those places are crowded, but that's what gives people who live in the city that advantage, right? And like I always try to take my photo and video friends who come in. I'm like, all right, I'm going to show you like
coolest
the spots. Like we're going to Times Square. If you've never been to Times Square, I'm taking you to Times Square. It's just like a thing that has to happen to everyone. And I love seeing people's faces when they go from like, oh, Times Square is gonna be so cool, and then they realize what's happening.
Elmo comes down and is like, give me $1.
Yeah, and that's their face switching. That's the magic of Times Square for me.
No, it's just there's so much culture to New York that I think people don't look for the culture, look for these spots rather than like these amazing communities that are here that won't exist anywhere else or whatever. It's just really bizarre to me. But I mean, it's up to you to do your own research. But the thing that really rips my heart out is when I know there's people here that are here on vacation or they're experiencing New York for the first time and they go, oh my God. And they think $1 slice is New York pizza. Yeah. And they're like, get a picture of me getting this pizza. I'm like, that is what? No, I want to like smack it out of their hands.
It's like, no, you gotta which I mean, dollar pizza in its own is like
$1.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's like $2.50, you know?
$1.50. Yeah. People don't realize that there's a lot of pizza here, but there still is bad pizza. Like it's like when you go to like, I don't know, the Netherlands and try to get a waffle. And it's like, not every waffle, there's some tourist waffles there, bro. You know, it is what it is. Yeah. The High Line. So the High Line is a great spot if you're a creator and you want to get like really interesting, really beautiful spots, but that's another place.
You gotta hit it right. Don't go on a weekend.
Yeah. But do you go early or late?
I mean, it depends on the shot. I would probably, honestly, if I'm getting over the High Line now, it used to be early. I used to live near the High Line. So I
lived in a lot of weird places.
Yeah, I lived in a lot of strange places. My first apartment, some guy in Tribeca realized his walk-in closet could fit a full bed.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. So I lived in a closet my first year in New York. It was awesome. I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. I was like, no windows.
This is great. It feels like a cell.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
really think to myself.
By the end of it, it was a nightmare. But and it didn't get much better after that. But for a few years, now I'm good. Now I live in Greenpoint, and it's.
Yeah, but you're trying to edit videos over an axe throwing spot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
something
Okay. So
crazy.
yeah, now my first studio is back to the we've got some crazy stuff going on, but.
I mean, look, you guys have seen me try to do videos with the train going by where I'm at. So like you gotta be very aware of your environment, especially if you're doing video. Photo, you can get away with a lot more, I feel. You know, there's no audio, you can figure some things out, but video, you really gotta get things dialed down. Yeah, now they're all just like pouring in all these spots. Yeah, Gray's Papaya.
Yeah.
So it's coming back, Gray's Papaya. They've opened up a new one uptown. If you guys don't know what Gray's Papaya is in New York, it was a staple thing where you get 2 hot dogs and a drink for like $3 or something crazy like that. It was like forever. It was like that.
Whoa.
Yeah. And they would have these drinks all lined up, and they would all be like different fruit ones that were like always like being like siphoned around. And real New Yorkers got the coconut champagne because you would drink it and you could chew coconut like all day while you're.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But now they sell everything. They got like every food they can throw on a thing really fast to make for you. But yeah, Grace Papaya is definitely a one. Where are you guys from in this chat, by the way? Do you have any iconic spots where you're at? Let us know. So what I want to talk to you about this. So you've been doing this for a long time, and you've definitely been like evolving with the equipment as we go forward. Right now, I keep saying we're in this like amazing era where there's so much in just like these small things in our hands. Like you just did your first car rig in something that 20, 30 years ago.
That is, yeah. And I know we've talked about this before, but the technology these days, and I could have done, you know what's crazy? I could have done that car rig with something that's a fourth of the size, like technically the new DJI Osmo thing.
Oh, right,
yeah,
right.
that is fun. But just putting a car rig onto a car, suction cupping it, me by myself and one assistant, 5 years ago, no way.
But you're also doing it on a full frame.
That's yeah, full frame. I didn't have any tracking. I just sort of let it go. Well, in the video you see, I made the specific choice. I had all the technology to do tracking, no problem. I could have focused it. I decided to put that technology and have it zoom my lens in and out because I was like, I know the autofocus is going to hit.
Yeah, right.
Because I've used this camera so much. I was like, I know it's not going to give me an issue.
Yeah, and Lumix, I think people like well, first of all, we always talk about the big three, right? Canon, Nikon, Sony, and all that stuff. But I think Lumix kind of got like put on this like video only track for a long time. If you haven't checked out a new S5, and this is not a commercial, whatever, but the new S5 II, the S5 2X or whatever, it's a big difference. It's a new system. The new autofocus is a massive difference in interface. And he's right. You can just go, all right, I'll let the camera do that. I can allocate myself and my resources to some other thing that'll let me do something more creative. And you chose zoom over focus.
Yeah. And it's so nice that it just opens it up. The other thing is, I have Reds. I have big cameras. I could have built something out and put it on there. But I say this all the time. I like what's simple and what just works. And the S5 is so perfect for that because I just grab it and I'm like, I know the footage is going to be fantastic for what I need it. And it's going to give me a lot of latitude. And it just lets me interact with who I'm trying to interact with more instead of having to fiddle with different things.
No, he was going, oh, Fernando needs this at 3:00.
Yeah.
It's going to.
Yeah, it's going to work, I think.
But did you feel like from the start, as soon as your plans fell through and you're like, all right, I'm going to do a motorcycle shot, were you right away going, I got to get a car rig going? Or was it that like where you landed?
Yeah, so I immediately was like, I want to do a car rig.
Okay.
Because I wanted to do something that was different. And once I realized, I was like, oh, I want to go in the direction of a motorcycle. I didn't want to hang out of a window.
Why not? Why wouldn't you want to do that?
I was like, maybe
that you love the craft enough.
I was like, maybe that's just a little bit further than I would want. So I was like, let me take the time and the effort to, one, track down a car rig, and two, learn how to build it. I had actually used that specific car rig, but I put it on a bicycle because I was trying to do one of my dream goals is to get like the ultimate roller shot from a city bike. I've been working on this for like 3 years, not like straight.
Well, now I got the electric ones.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying to use, and so I've been trying to build. So I've rigged up city bikes so many ways, and that's why I was asking you about those magic arms. Yeah. I was like, hang on, that might help. Yeah,
yo, those Avenger arms. I mean, every camera in this place is on an Avenger arm because it's just, I trust them. They're great.
Yeah, and the thing is, with city bikes, there's not a lot of great mounting points. You've got the bike stem or the seat bike stem, yep. And I don't want to damage them. You've got
why not? They're exposed. You've seen what some people do to those bikes.
Yeah. I think it's for the video though. I don't want to be that guy.
There's some guy just posted he got charged $80 because he didn't lock his bike up in the thing enough, so someone took it and just went around the entire city with it.
Oh,
and so he got a charge for $80.
Saw that? Yeah,
I was like, that was only $80. That seems pretty cheap. Yeah, if he got around the entire city like that, but. These bikes I'm pointing here because there used to be a giant rack here.
They moved it like 30 feet that way. Bro, I parked in it all the time.
When they started putting the massive racks, they didn't make it so that they were spaced enough so that the rack was full. You could actually get onto the sidewalk. So like,
you're stuck. Yeah.
So now I'm so glad they're moving some of it. All they had to do was like make them go like this or like a little. I sound like an old man, but whatever. You literally have to jump over these bikes to get onto the sidewalk. Yeah. I'm over it. But do whatever you want to those things. What's going to happen? And watch it turn into a city bike campaign.
Yeah. I'll do it. Why not?
Does anybody in the chat use city bike at all? Or do you have something like that in your town? Let me know. Because when that was coming here, I was like, how is this going to work? This is New York. Someone's going to steal something.
You know what? At least they didn't give us the scooters that litter the streets of. You ever go to LA? There's just birds everywhere. Oh my birds God. Being the scooter
and
brand.
They're dead.
Yeah, they're always just like, oh man.
Like it's like useless. Like what's and
good. Thank goodness we don't have them here in New York. That would be something
someone
else.
Signing a contract.
As I'm in the head, I'm like building a bird rig on the front.
I mean, I think New York, you see the most amazing transportation solutions in this city. For how many years do we see those motorized unicycles everywhere for a while?
Oh, I still see those guys. They're like fully armored up.
Yeah,
they're. I mean, you've got one wheel if it fails.
Do you know how heavy that thing is? They take it around like they're carrying a bowling bag.
Yeah, it looks at least like 45 pounds.
Adorama, I don't know if we still sell, but hey Joe, do they still sell scooters here? They used to sell scooters here at least, or maybe they are. Now we're talking. No, but it's the moral of this whole story that we're getting on tangent is like now that the gear has so much ability in such a small form factor and able to be so automated in certain ways, it's really opened up so many more possibilities, including building your own rigs, which I think we all subscribe to certain rig channels on Instagram and stuff. And just like, what people come up with is really awesome, especially with third-party companies like Special Cages, Special Grip, different, like there's so many options to do whatever you want to do. It's kind of crazy. I miss towing car to goes. Wait a second. Oh, that's right. You tow cars, but you do it in like the ice in Canada, don't you? Don't you like some crazy, Brad, I'm getting on a tangent. Anyway, what's like something that's happening right now that's you feel besides like autofocus that's really opened up your game as far as creative possibilities?
That's a great question. Cameras, obviously they're always pushing. I just opened a studio in February. So I had all my gear in my apartment. And I have a lot of gear, and it was just getting to be a mess. I was like, all right.
I have no idea what that's like.
I was going, yeah. And I was going crazy. And so anyways, I got a studio near me. And so that's been really cool. And it was very cool just to have this space, and I can create there, and I could sort of separate that. So that's been cool. And then more immediate was I'm doing this like 30-day challenge. So I gave myself 30 days, 30 reels. Try not to go insane challenge, I guess.
Yeah, I would not do that. I would not put that on myself. If someone like tagged me like, hey, now it's your turn, I'm like, no, I got to go do it. Thomas was in the chat saying, I remember Fritz capturing an amazing graduation photo. That was my intro to his photography skills.
Oh yeah. Tom and I went to school together. Him and I used to shoot all of the sorority and fraternity's grad photos, and that's how I afforded my first full frame camera.
That nice.
Yeah.
What was it?
Canon 5D Mark IV.
Actually, that's pretty.
Yeah,
That's pretty in there. I mean,
there was we shot a lot of
Yeah.
we shot a lot of headshots, a lot of videos. So they here's what it was. The way there would be like 30 girls, right? They needed all their portraits taken. I'd be like, all right, we've got a 2-hour block. Everyone bring $50. 30 times 50.
You got
Repeat a bunch.
Yeah, I used to
Canon 5D.
I did that with makeup artists. And makeup portfolios I do 5 to 10 artists at a time because none of them could afford a full day rate for a studio. So I break whatever my day rate was, however many people I booked, I broke it up amongst them. So it also encouraged them to find someone else to book for the day because they get a cheaper price. If they get someone, that means that's that much more divided amongst them.
Yeah.
So I would just get like 3 solid makeup artists and be like, you get friends, you double it. That means half of it. That means half cost to you. And they're like, oh,
yeah.
So for a while, I was just like, boom, boom, boom.
Crank them out.
Oh my gosh, I'm a studio here in Chelsea. But one of the things is I built this studio, built your studio. One thing I find in this era is what you're able to do in smaller spaces now, because everything is just able to be done. Like, for example, you can have higher output lights rather than having these massive tungsten fixtures anymore. LEDs like this, right? Or you're able to get something flat to a wall now when you weren't able to because they were bigger, or because the grip had to be bigger for the weight of whatever it was. Now it's not the same. It's like everything has just been like
it's so small, so compact, and which is great because it allows people just to focus on the storytelling. And I think
do you think so? Because I get a little gear drunk. I'm like, but I could do this, and then
so I think there's 2 trains of thought. I love gear. It's one of the best parts of this career is I get to buy all this gear that if 12-year-old
buy is a different
buy if 12-year-old me walked into my studio, he'd be like this is the coolest thing ever,
that all the time.
And the flip side is I think with social media specifically, anyone is now able to access and tell their story. Right.
Self-publish.
Yeah, we've got our phones in our pockets, which are so powerful, and I think it's brought an influx of people who want to make films and stuff, and that's why the technology keeps getting better. Right? Is there so much interest and money because it's such think about it. Like 10 years ago, I think you had like the Canon T2i, right? The Rebel.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my first camera that I saved. It was $600. I had to save all summer to buy it. And then you had a few variations off that, or you were using a big chunky thing. And so now,
and you had to pay for media. You had to pay for like DV tapes.
You had to get the DV tapes. It was a whole process.
And now kids are trying to do that all over again because they want that look.
Yeah. Of course.
I remember how hard it was to get like a GL2 or like a PD150 or whatever, a Panasonic, like whatever. And then the tapes would kill me.
So it's interesting because it's like, all right, in theory, we have all this technology. Are we going to get crazier images? I think we do, but also now there's like this draw of being on social media and posting, like that challenge where I have to post 30 videos every day. Are they going to be the best videos ever? Some of them might be.
Yeah, but the game is to produce, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are like, oh, phones are killing us. Like, no, it's making people shoot more than ever before. Like, people do not understand that it's a gateway, that kids growing up now are just handed a camera basically, rather than us who were like, all right, let me get to a garage sale.
Yep.
Let me see what doesn't have fungus in it.
Yep.
And let me try to get going. But now you're literally producing and you're understanding what it's like to deliver to an audience or client because you have a platform that speaks back to you. So if people don't realize that the phone is more of getting people into the game and expanding our game, I feel bad for them a little bit. Yes, maybe some people didn't graduate to a camera for sure, but those people probably never would have gone as hard as some of us have,
Yeah, exactly. Where it's like this, 4 years ago, I remember I was one of the first people on TikTok, and I was one of the original.
You're the problem.
Yeah, exactly. Well, kind of, yeah. And I was working for a client, and they're like, someone figured out TikTok, so I started experimenting with it. I remember all the flack I got from my friends of like, "Oh, what are you doing? That's an app for people dancing and stuff." And now look at, you know, now some of those friends who are like, oh, what are you doing? Their entire career has changed because of it, which is...
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about like what we're doing here, we're streaming, broadcasting to a social platform, right? Like that's a thing that exists now. YouTube's 12 years old, 13 years old, or something like that. Like think about it, right? Like this wasn't a possibility when you bought a camera, when you bought a video camera back then. You wasn't going anywhere except to where you wanted it to go. It wasn't being put out there to the world. It's really amazing what we're able to do. It drives me crazy when people complain.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, it's up to you.
And I think, yeah, it's the whole I mean, the whole media landscape's always changing, and now it's just changing faster.
Yeah. Like, so what, having said that, what are your thoughts on AI? Because I feel like, whoa, in like a year, what are we doing?
It's crazy. I mean, it's cool. I don't feel like, I know a lot of people feel threatened, right? And it's like, I see it. I see how like it's never going to change. It'll change the landscape for sure. I think there's a lot of benefits to AI as like tools, like editing tools for video.
If they take some stress off of you to help you, great. But replace me, I'm like, look, man, T1000 is going to come over here, take my life. I get it.
Yeah, but replace the tasks that no one wants to do. You know, we do art for fun, right? And for the most part.
I love this.
But I don't know. I think AI it's just it's an interesting wormhole. I do like watching them. I will say visually there's some really cool AI artists out there, which I think AI art on its own is a whole, because
wait, you're talking about like the looping animations.
Some of the looping animations, or some of the I just saw this one page where he was they were taking like childhood cartoons and making them into 80s noir, like 80s dark fantasy films.
That's cool.
And I was like, wow, that's cool. And I was like, oh, it's AI. And then I was like, I have no idea how to do this, right? Like 3D rendering, that's a whole learning curve. So I don't know. I think we'll see. We'll see where this interview holds up in 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Like by the end of this year. I think it's going to come down to morality thing. Like, will actors sell their image to be an AI processing rather than, no, you're going to book real actors for this, right?
No, that's where.
But one of the things I think is sick, I don't know if you saw this, but now they just announced, they didn't announce it, but there is actually in development a camera that in real time AI creates the environment. So it's basically like doing almost like a green screen in real time, which is, if you're going to tell me that I can get sequels to movies that I'm dying to see a year faster, cool. But what set designer just lost their job?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, look at the crazy sound stages, right? The ones that are
the LED, the LED
I
domes?
forget the actual term, but like the big,
the domes.
You know, they surround like
the Mandalorian thing.
Yeah, whatever those are, like crazy piece
sick.
of technology. But now it's like, all right, location scouting, is that no longer going to be a thing, right? Are we just going to shoot it in the sound stages? It's like, probably not, because like I mean, you look at films like The Creator, which I'm sure everyone's talked about a billion times, but it's like, that's still on location. They prioritize location over that. So I don't know. It's cool where the technology is going, and I think you can either get on board with the technology or it can get you, you know.
Well, I think it's also like a pendulum. Like, we're going to explore it as hard as we can, but then there's going to be that one guy that's like, I'm still shooting on film on location with practical effects. Like, oh my God, we've got to see this.
Yeah,
you know. Like, there's always that as well.
That's the marketing of like not on green screen. It's like, whoa.
Real people, this is crazy.
Doesn't use AI. Whoa, you know.
But it also I don't think people also realize the secondary effects economically to this. So like, let's say you're a film set that goes into a small town to film, you bring an entire crew. That's a huge spike in income of tourism and permits, insurance, all this stuff being bought, the hotels being booked, all this stuff in this area. And if that goes away more and more and more, what happens, right? Like, that's another thing to think about, because I actually, during the strike, you know what got affected the most? Laundromats.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because there was some places that stylists were going that were basically keeping these places open for all these costuming, and when they stopped doing it, they were closing a bunch of the place, and no one thought about that kind of. They just think like, oh, the writers, the actors, yes, catering, totally. but there's also it's a real economy. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is. I mean, that's what Hollywood was built on, dude. Like, forget it.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, didn't even think about that, but it makes sense. You know,
Wild, right?
they're switching, especially shows, constantly switching out.
Well, I also
Wow.
think about like now, if you're not doing that, like how many more PAs don't work and they don't graduate to something else, or it's kind of wild. I don't mind the shift. What I mind is how fast it's happening, where
Yeah.
people can't get their footing, and then AI in the last year and a half has just been bananas.
Oh, it's crazy. I remember. Well, I think I first started seeing it. It was like some simple stuff. I was like, that's cool. And now I just talked about how they're like converting, and it's like,
Yoda is a Muppet. Hey, look. Well, actually, he was until I think the Origin trilogy, whatever the first three, the Phantom Menace and all that stuff. He was CGI'd after that. When I saw Jabba the Hutt as a full CGI, I was like, this is so awful.
oh man.
He was so much better as like a big Jim Henson. Actually, you know what's crazy? I'm getting way off tangent, but whatever. The original 90s Ninja Turtles, Jim Henson made suits with animatronics, looks 10 times better than any of the CGI movies that they have for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in this generation. And I would love to see more of that. And who was successful at that? Look at Hellboy. Look at Guillermo del Toro with Pan's Labyrinth and all this. Like practical effects, people appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
But if AI gets good enough for you to not tell the difference.
And that's where it could get scary.
Fernando saying the Art Directors Guild has paused a training program intended to hone the next generation of production designers and art directors amid industry turbulence in 2024.
Whoa.
Wow. I mean, in the end, the industry is still human, and humans are going to want to protect what's up. And when the writer strike went down, they won something like 30% of all product productions have to be human written by minimum. So there has to be human writing at some level on productions, which is that really a win?
30 seems low, but
Doesn't it
I'm
seem
not
low?
I'm not super informed in the final
It does
decisions.
seem
But
low,
that
though, right? Like
gut-
we got 3
gut-
guys and 7 machines.
yeah. Gut instinct is one dude, 2 computers.
Godzilla and King Kong. Yeah, well, look, Godzilla and King Kong. Look, you couldn't do it practically and take it seriously.
Yeah.
I don't think. Like, I love Toho. I love you, Toho, and all those Muppety looking things, but they also existed and they're not going away. They'll always be out there. I guess it's the remake stuff that kills you because you see the comparison, right? Like you go from like Ghostbusters then to Ghostbusters now, you're like, wow, that's a lot of CGI as compared to what we probably would have gotten from, Ivan Reitman and all them,
Yeah.
So I guess when you have something to compare it to, that's when you start. Like one of the best movies ever of all time, Batman Returns. But if you watch it today, you're like, oh, that's all a stage. That's not a city.
Yeah.
Like they're driving a car on a stage.
Especially if you move to New York and then you rewatch it and you're like, wait a second.
What about Jurassic Park? If Jurassic Park was one of the most amazing practical effect things ever. If you guys get a chance, follow Stan Winston School on Instagram to see all the BTS of what he did in that era. Predator, Alien, the Queen from Alien, like all that stuff. You watch how much went into building these animatronic amazing things, and then now it would just be a cartoon that was polished in CGI. I
Yeah.
guess I don't know. I guess it's hard because if you look at bad CGI, it's bad CGI. If you look at bad practical effects, it's still entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I feel like sometimes I watch movies that I know are going to be bad.
Hell yeah.
I'm just like, I want to watch a bad movie. Like, I think that's fun.
Yeah, but there's like a certain dance that it has to be bad.
It needs to be like kind of campy bad.
Like I wasn't a fan of Sharknado. Like they made it to be bad, so it was.
yeah.
I'm like, no, you need to find a bad movie that's bad, and that's why it's awesome. Like Trolls.
Yeah, there we go.
or a Tremors, or actually Tremors was all right. I
Yeah.
don't know. Or what era of filmmaking do you think was like the golden era? I feel like the late 80s to early 90s transition was like it.
I mean, anything on film,
Oh, yeah?
I most of my favorite films are 80s,
Which was your directors? Who's your top 3?
Oh man. I mean, obviously we got George Lucas, right? He's just out of this world, but
Is he?
I
When he took over the reins of Star Wars again, it didn't go too well.
yeah, that's fair. But it's so funny because everyone hates the I forget the that the Phantom Menace and that trilogy.
The original
Everyone
trilogy?
hated it, but I will say I was a bit younger. They're kind of like a nostalgic film for me, right? Where they hit that, where I saw them when I was younger and I was like, wasn't old enough to like fully understand like, oh, this isn't great, you know? And so I watch it now and I think back to when I first watched it. I'm like, oh, it's great. But you know, the whole Star Wars debate is something fun. But for me, movies, I just sort of, I watch movies because I like to relax and I like to sort of shut down, and it's escapism, right? And I think that's always something that I try to emulate, you know.
In the end, we just love stories, right? I mean, how lucky are we that we get to have all these tools and ability to hone to tell stories? I mean, that's what's so amazing about all this stuff to me. Like I don't know how you feel. What do you think about Gladiator 2? Do you think it's gonna be good or bad? I can't make heads or tails of this trailer in my life.
You know what? I just saw a meme about it. Right. I think it's Movie Set Memes is the account. But they showed the picture of the two gladiators, and one has obviously modern day lighting, and then the first has like on film the harsh daylight.
Yep.
And it's like no one knows how to light daylight scenes anymore. And I'm like, it's an interesting thing because like the way everything was lit back then. So, obviously I can't say anything for the story. I don't.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. But as far as the filming goes, it's completely different eras. So
it has a different feel totally to me.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's funny because like I try to tell people when they get more and more serious into this, like, all right, just be prepared. The hardest thing about this is that the magic dies. You notice everything now. Like you're like, oh, that's dubbed wrong. That's a piece of gaff tape stuck to that. You know, like everything gets like. I always tell a story about Fernando. We were flying somewhere and he was watching like the new James Bond. He's like, I'm looking at the tubes everywhere. Tubes here, tubes here. Everything had tubes. And I'm like, yeah, because it's gone now.
That's gonna happen.
You know, I wish I go back to watching those, you know, Spielberg movies. Like, like it's just not gonna happen anymore. But I'm a Scorsese guy, and when you look at actual camera movements and philosophy of filming something, like, whoa, forget about the technology or whatever he's done. Yeah, I know he tried to de-age De Niro and everybody in that last movie.
We don't need to talk about that one.
They just want to take a movie together.
Hey, yeah, get the guys back together, right?
Eric Bird's asking, how did you get involved in the industry? And then Fritz, what's your most viral piece of content from Thomas?
Oh, great questions. All right, let's hit the industry one first. I studied mechanical engineering and in school, and I decided that was not the direction I wanted to go in. I'd always been involved with cameras. I worked at the marketing department in school. I always had marketing internships, and I was like, all right, I'll go into marketing or advertising. The engineering thing's not for me. And so I got an internship at an ad agency, and I would commute 3 hours a day into the city I did that for like 2 months. And then they offered me a full-time job. And basically I was writing copy for like social and just sort of helping out, you know. It was a very nimble agency at the time. I believe I was the 19th hired. Now it's big. And I just sort of said yes to anything, got involved in all sorts of projects. I started writing, I was project managing, I was producing, and then, you know, I was all along the same time I was trying to push photography, and one day a photographer fell through or something and I had my camera with me. And I was like, oh, I'll do it. And then they're like, all right, cool. Fritz can do all of this. Like, and so then I started shooting, I started growing my portfolio with that company, and sort of they put me on bigger and bigger jobs as my skills were getting honed in for advertising. So that's where a lot of my background and expertise is in advertising, how to make ads, how to make commercials. And that's why I make commercials. You know, I direct commercials, I write them.
It's a great place to be, though, and to get that experience is awesome.
Oh, it was, and I've said this a lot. I think anyone who's very interested in the creative world, if you know, the ad world is never a bad spot to be in.
No,
you learn so much so quickly, and then if you want to go somewhere else afterwards, that base of knowledge applies so much.
It changes the way you think too. Because I had a similar situation in my early career. I was building and painting sets and stuff, and the guy didn't show up for the middle of the campaign for an IKEA campaign. Brooklyn just opened up. The Red Hook IKEA was opening up, and they were doing the campaign. Guy went and just went to Italy to shoot Italian Vogue just in the middle of the campaign. And I was there. I had a stack of prints. That's how ridiculous this was. And I had a camera. If you're able to do it and you're ready to do it and there's a shot, always be ready to do it. And that campaign, the usage rights checks from that campaign helped me afford so much gear that I was able to do studio work, able to offer higher res imaging, all sorts of stuff, which is funny because he shot on a Hasselblad digital.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't have anything close to that. So I shot on a Mia 645 film camera.
Yeah.
And I actually got a call from the agency after I got home from set going, so what do we do with the film? Like they didn't even know to scan it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the woman that was hiring me never dealt with this before. So I had to go get them scanned from Dugal. Do you remember Dugal?
That sounds so familiar.
Yeah. They were doing high end stuff like that. So it was just so wild to me that that's how it ended up. But just like you're ready, you're able, don't give them a reason to not say go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. They just being, there's obviously a chance, but if you're prepared for that chance and you're ready, once you get it, it could really change your life. And I had a few moments like that in the ad world where each time I was just like, yeah, I'll do this. And it went crazy. Same thing. That's what happened with TikTok, which to answer Tom's question, one of my most viral pieces of content was, I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's the ghost trend, like 3 or 4 years back. It was around Halloween. People would put like sunglasses on like a spooky ghost. The classic like ghost. You cut 2 holes in it and put it over your head and your ghost. So there was like a trend or a sound. But anyways, it got like 16 million views on TikTok.
What was it though?
It was so I saw this trend of people taking like basically it was like faded. Just bring the S curve up, faded film photos of ghosts around Halloween with this trending sound. And so I was like, we're going to do it in Times Square. And so I did it in Times Square and no one had done like a city version of it yet. And I had like a strobe and everything. So it was kind of like high end photos on this. A lot of people did it with iPhones. And it went crazy. And it went crazy on TikTok, got like 16 million views there. But it ended up getting like 500 million views on Pinterest over like 2 years. Every year on, I don't know what it is, because I don't know what made me do this, but I was like, I started seeing it getting traction on TikTok. I was like, what if I upload those to Pinterest? Which is never a thought I had, but I was like, I'm going to throw them on Pinterest. I was like, this feels like Pinterest. Throw them up there. And like hundreds of millions of views on those images on Pinterest. Wild. Super weird.
Yeah, Pinterest is a weird one. I get it brought to me all the time. And someone will be like, hey, can we do something like this? And I'm like, that's one of my images.
Yeah, that's a crazy.
I didn't put that on Pinterest. What is...
Well, and there's people who... That's happened to me before where someone's like, hey, here's like our... one of my more viral images is in Italy. And they're like, oh, here's our itinerary for Italy. And I was like, they're like, do you know where this place is? I was like, I do. Because I took that photo.
Pinterest is weird.
Yeah.
I shot a Popeye the Sailor makeup, and that went all over. And people kept on sending it to me, being like, "Hey, someone copied it." I'm like, "No, that's the image."
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they edited out my watermark somewhere on. Like, it's just it's a weird. But a lot of what do you call them? Set designers and art directors use Pinterest like as the laziest mood board you've ever seen in your life.
I totally get it. It's so easy. You just go on there and the whatever the technology is behind it, their search algorithm, you upload a photo of something kind of similar, you're getting everything. I've used it. I use it a lot.
Yeah, I just wish there was a way for it to come back to me. Like some kind of benefit.
I think that's why I probably uploaded it, where I was like,
I
know that, so I was like, I know these are going to make it on there, but I would like to see, and so all of them had like links to my Instagram and stuff. And
that's smart.
Yeah, so I'll like every now and then I'll just do I'll sit down for a day and I'll just upload stuff to Pinterest and it all have a link to track back to me.
Jeez, I should have, man.
Or like selling prints, like Pinterest you can sell because people go to Pinterest to buy.
You sell a lot of prints?
No, not at all. No, but someone.
He's like, but I got 16 million views on TikTok, which hasn't done anything for me.
You know what? I made a LUT. I sold the LUT for like $3.
$3.
Well, it took me
for one LUT.
5 minutes to make it.
I can go on YouTube right now and someone's selling 50% off.
Yeah, it's the YouTube link of how I did it already, like how to do it for free. I'm like, all
What
right.
are you editing? What are you in?
I edit all my photos in Lightroom, and then I'm a DaVinci guy.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
We switched over to DaVinci over here, and me and Fernando over there, like, oh my god,
It's so much.
good.
It's incredible. And so I'll never knock anyone for what they want to edit on. For me, DaVinci is perfect. It's just it eats my, when I'm shooting red, it eats that footage up, processes it perfectly, and then I have my colors right there. And I do a lot of back and forth. The way I cull footage is like, sometimes I need to see how it looks like graded, and then I'm like, oh, that shot's actually not that good. And then I toss it, and that would be a big problem if I didn't have my coloring right there. So
I'm still learning so much about, like, I'm not a natural video guy. Like, I started to do like the color page on DaVinci. I might as well be looking at the human brain. I'm like,
oh,
what is going on here?
It took a long time to get. I've been full on DaVinci for about 3 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, so it took me a while, but I've got the little deck. With the knob. That thing's awesome.
Yeah, because I think something about that deck, like if you bought the deck, you basically got paid
DaVinci
for free, whatever. And the paid DaVinci, like, you get so much good stuff in there. It's like the voice isolation, everything.
And it's cheap. I think it's only like $200 or something, or at least it was for me. I can't. But
I mean, it's a one time, so
Yeah.
it's not like a subscription base, which is good. So it's not like, hey, I've been editing for 20 years. How much does that end up cost you after 20 years?
Yeah.
So it's like,
and then it's like, it's great because Black Magic, right?
Yep.
It owns it. So if you shoot on those cameras,
but it takes almost everything except for, like, I think Apple ProRes RAW. It takes Apple ProRes, but not RAW.
yes, there's something funky with the Apple stuff.
Because it's Final Cut. They got Final Cut.
Yeah, and so I always have to, like, if it's shot on HDR, I'm gonna have some issues, and I have to just natively convert it in. But
No, but yeah, I think with you using Lumix with all the tools they have in camera mixed with everything you're able to do in DaVinci afterwards, like, you must be flying.
oh, it's incredible. I can just I have all my tools set up for all the colors I like too. I've got all my, like, presets at this point. Every, like, any sort of lighting condition, I have everything already built because I've spent the time with the system for so long, and I'm really excited. I want to I do want to try that B-Raw that is in the new Lumix systems.
You see the Ari
Yeah, with the GH7. I need to try that too.
Like, what?
Yeah, a friend of mine, he's in Italy with the GH7, and he was sending. I saw the clips, and I was just like, all right, okay, like that's a great.
crazy.
Yeah. So,
Is
yeah,
like that's like,
I the other thing is I love the colors just natively out of the S5, because I know they have an agreement with Leica where they sort of share technology, so they share lens and processing and stuff. And I have a Q2, and I remember thinking, wow, the Q2 colors are insane. And then I got the S5 2X, and I was like, wow,
It's touching
I was like, wow, these are very, very similar. And it's nice to have both of them, but the S5 2X is those colors out of that camera are some of my favorite.
yeah. I feel like my brain, when I see Lumix imaging, it reminds me of Kodak Gold. There's something about the color grading
where it's like a little bit like richer almost.
It's very rich, but it's not punchy.
Yeah.
So, like, it's got deep and bold colors, but it doesn't, like, go like neon red.
Yeah.
But it has that, like, the skin looks so much like Kodak Gold 400 and 800 to me. If any of you have shot film before you went to digital, you'll see what I'm saying. Not that you can't shoot film after you shot digital and see it, but, like, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
It's cool. It's a really good system. I've really
solid.
Yeah, I've got the batteries charging. I've got to shoot with it later.
It's really, I really encourage people, if they have it, if they've been looking around, like, take a look at some Lumix. You can come check it out here. Throw a card in the camera. Take a couple shots. See what you want to do. See what you get out of the images. But it's been very impressive to watch Lumix address things, change things. The new autofocus, like I said, the capabilities they're giving you inside the camera. The SSD recording out by USB-C.
Oh,
come on.
And there's the blade. Condor Blue has a handle
Right.
with a blade integration that works super well.
Talking about SanDisk, the blade.
Yeah, SanDisk blade. Those are the two.
It's an NVMe SSD in an enclosure that Condor Blue basically makes it so it slides to a handle that goes onto your camera. You can record from your camera right to an NVMe drive. Pull it out, boom.
And the ergonomics of having that in the handle are what I really like.
Oh yeah.
Because I've done a lot of external stuff, and then it's always flopping around. And I'm like, I'm gonna lose this. So having it in the handle was.
Oh my gosh.
I liked.
Well, I don't know if Fernando's listening. We'll throw some links to stuff either probably in the description later after this because we don't know what we're going to talk about when we do this. But man, listen, man, it was really good.
That went by fast.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
If you guys want, check out all of Fritz's stuff right there. You can check out all the commercial stuff he's been doing on his website, but he's apparently so viral and so influential. Go check out his social. He's got a lot of great stuff going on. And his video that came out, I think today it came out. Your Filmmakers Week video.
Yesterday.
So the link is pinned to the top of this chat. I put it in there. Go check out his motorcycle rig after an entire morning of drama trying to put this shot together. But PS4 controller controlling zoom on a camera hanging off of a car, filming a motorcycle. I'm in. Let's do it. Yo, Fritz, thanks so much for hanging out, man. Really appreciate it. And also, really quick thank you to Panasonic Lumix for sponsoring this. You know Lumix. We just talked about them like crazy. Go check out the S52 and S52X. And listen, we'll see you on the next one, guys. But later this week, Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern, Daniel Norton will be shooting live right here. You can be sitting in those seats or you can be sitting right where you are, but that'll be happening at 5 p.m. Eastern right out of the store. So we'll see you on Thursday. At least I will. And we're going to keep an eye on you. We're always pulling you in. There's so many videos he's done on the channel. I think anything Lumix in the last year has been you.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So if you guys want to check out anything, go check out on there. And I'll put this back up. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you on the next one. Later, guys.